many months ago, I got my hands on the original V1 Clicks keyboard for the iPhone 15. I really enjoyed using it. However, there were a few things that, for me at least, really ruined the experience of being able to use this case all the time. For example, it didn't really support MagSafe. It worked fine on flat MagSafe chargers, but it was just too heavy for any upright MagSafe charging docks. And without USB pass-through, you couldn't use plug-in headphones, you couldn't plug in external hard drives to record and log, and worst of all for me, it didn't work with CarPlay. So while I did end up using the Clicks all the way through until upgrading my iPhone 15 to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I was having to carry two cases with me. My normal case so that I could use CarPlay and plug in external devices when I needed to, and carrying the Clicks so that I could do typing and email and texting with the physical keyboard whenever I was stationary at my desk, which is, of course, a less than stellar solution. But that's why I was really excited to get my hand on this, the brand new V2 Clicks keyboard, which I've got here for the 16 Pro Max. Let me tell you what is still the same on Clicks for the iPhone 16, what has been improved, and what still, in my opinion, needs a little bit of work to make this the perfect way to get a physical keyboard on your iPhone. So what is the same on the V2 of the Clicks keys that was on the original? Well, of course, it still has that same great look, aesthetic, hardware design, and keyboard feel. The keyboard shortcuts still work just as well. The backlight is just as nice on this keyboard. The keys are still just as clicky and tactile, although now they are ergonomically sculpted for an improved feel, and I will agree that it is an improved feel. And all in all, it just looks and feels exactly the same as the V1. So if you are a fan of the original Clicks keyboard, you will feel right at home using this Clicks V2 on your iPhone. What's also the same are some of the negative drawbacks, but I'll talk a little bit more about those at the end of the video. Now, I assumed this when I made my original review of the Clicks V1 case, but of course, the guys who founded the Clicks keyboard case are creators themselves. They are on this platform, they're listening to people who do reviews and use these products on a daily basis, and for the V2, I'm extremely happy to say that they made a ton of improvements to the Clicks keys that really just make it so much better than the original version. And I thought that would be the case, and I'm glad I was not wrong. So what's new on this second generation Clicks keyboard? Well, first of all, it officially supports MagSafe. It works perfectly on both flat laying and upright MagSafe docks, and in fact, it's so strong you can even put it into iPhone's standby mode, which is where you turn the phone and you get that bigger, more elegant sort of nighttime display, which I love using as like an alarm clock in lieu of an actual alarm clock on my nightside table. Yeah, it works fantastic. This is what everybody was asking for on the original. But the original did not have that MagSafe coil, and when it was just too heavy, there was nothing to really hold it when it was in an upright position. So huge +1 and a big win for Clicks V2 with MagSafe. Now for me, the biggest win and improvement in Clicks V2 is data pass-through, data transfer mode is finally here. That means you can use the Clicks keyboard with CarPlay. You can plug in external devices, you can plug in wired headphones, it all works, and you can still plug in to charge it. It now does both. This was the biggest single issue from my experience with the Clicks V1 because I had to keep swapping in and out my device to another case in order to use things that I use every day. In my car, even though my GV70 from Genesis is brand new and it has Sirius and it has a great radio, I exclusively still use CarPlay. The experience in CarPlay is just so much better. Everything just works so much better than Bluetooth streaming and those OEM maps and OEM radio systems that come in most cars. That being said, Genesis doesn't support wireless CarPlay, so I had to be able to plug in my iPhone to get access to it. Thankfully, and at last, I can just leave the house with this one case. I no longer need to carry that second case with me. I can use CarPlay, I can use external devices, I can still charge my phone if I need to, but I can always have that external keyboard, save the space on the screen, and get powering through my emails, my texts on my phone. It is a huge win that they were able to fix this for version 2 of Clicks. Similarly, in the first version of the Clicks keyboard, I had some concerns about the hardware quality. While it looks great, and I still think it looks great, it was a little bit flimsy, a little bit less rigid than I would like for something holding a $1,500 plus phone here in Canada. But I'm happy to report that they, again, took that feedback into consideration when constructing Clix V2. It features an all-new enclosure design, which is much more rigid and much more strong, while still allowing you to easily slide the phone in and out. Furthermore, the port at the bottom, the USB-C connector, which in the original version I felt was a little bit flimsy and sometimes felt like I was going to rip it out when putting the phone in and out, is way more sturdy and rigid in Clix V2, which is great to see. There is now a microfiber lining on the inside of the Clix case. Again, just to further reinforce and secure and support your phone when it's in the Clix keyboard case, and to just make sure it stays in good condition and stays safe. This is, again, just going above and beyond the original version. It feels more premium, looks more premium, and I feel a lot more at ease putting my phone into this case because, again, it is physically and clearly much more rigid and secure and stable. And just like that microfiber lining, they went a step further, and now the side keys are a brushed metal instead of the rubber that they were on the Clix V1. Again, didn't need to be done, but just feels so much more premium and so much nicer to use and feel and touch every day. And of course, because this is the iPhone 16 version, there is a cutout for the camera control button on the side. And like I already mentioned, the keys, while they are in the same layout, have been redesigned. They're now ergonomically sculpted, so they have a little bit of a ridged feeling, better texture, easier to navigate just with the feel of your hands than in the Clix V1. Again, just going a step above to make the typing experience better than it already was. However, just like in V1, the feel and the click and the tactility of the keys is still great. And if you don't believe me, here's a soundbite of just how good Clix sounds when you're typing on it. And while this isn't really something that the Clix V2 keyboard did just for this version, but they have made significant improvements to the Clix app, and there's now a shortcut quote-unquote storefront or marketplace where you can quickly install new shortcuts for your Clix using the Clix button on the keyboard to trigger a whole bunch of different quick actions. The biggest thing that I really enjoyed, other than the typing experience on Clix V1, was all the shortcuts and being able to quickly navigate around iOS, very similar to using iPadOS or even macOS in some instances. This Shortcuts Marketplace just allows you to do more of those things quicker and easier, and this way it saves you from having to program all these shortcuts yourself. They're just there and available, one click to install and set them up on your phone, and off you go. They couldn't have made it easier. And just like the original Clix case, there's some great color options for the Clix V2. I have mine for my iPhone 16 Pro Max in Onyx. There's also a Spice, which is more like a burnt orange with a black keyboard. And there's the Blue Surf, which is a blue case, light blue case with the black keyboard. And if you are not an iPhone user, I'm also really happy to report that you can now get Clix for select Android device models, which is great to see. And I knew this was coming when I made my review for version 1. I mentioned they'd be releasing Android device support very shortly, and I'm happy to report that is now done. And you get all the benefits of all the improvements to the second gen for iPhone on your Android devices. So if you use the Pixel, or you use the Razr Fold, or you use a Galaxy device, happy to report you can go and pick up a Clix case as well. And if you want to save a little bit of money on your purchase of a Clix case, whether that's for iPhone or some of your Android devices, be sure to use my link at the top of the description below to take advantage of that. So it sounds great. Sounds like I'm giving the Clix for iPhone 16 or Clix V2 a raving review. And generally, yeah, it's a great case. And it's so nice to see that they took all the feedback that their customers put out to heart when constructing this second gen. It is just such a big step up from the first gen, and there isn't even really a price premium for all these improvements. I think it's like 20 Canadian dollars more. So great value for the improvements that you're getting, but it's still not perfect. However, I think now the issues are so unavoidable that you're never really going to get around them. So first, yeah, the elephant in the room still is that the Clix case makes your phone huge. And on the 16 Pro Max, which is already a bigger device to start with, yeah, it's enormous. It's really hard to pocket. It's great for a bag. You can throw it in a bag, no problem. But yeah, it is hard to fit in a pair of pants. Like if you only have back pockets, pretty much count yourself out of fitting a Clicks keyboard fitted device in there. Now, camera control isn't necessarily the widest used thing ever. People with smaller hands, which I think is the vast majority of people these days, are going to struggle to reach that camera control button with the whole keyboard below the placement. Great for big hands, not so great ergonomically for small-handed people. And lastly, while the overall hardware fit and finish and the feeling is dramatically improved over V1, there is still the issue of balance of weight. This case is still very heavy on the bottom where the keyboard resides. On the Android models, this might be different. The weighting of those phones that go in the case might be different, but at least here with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, there is still a bit of a weight problem. I know you can grip it a specific way, and I've gotten used to doing that, but if you are using this while laying down in bed, you might find yourself hitting yourself in the face with your phone because of the weight imbalance from the Clicks case. I don't know what the solution is from a hardware design perspective, whether it's weighting the entire case or adding a counterbalance, but it is still something to consider. I don't find it super fatiguing necessarily. However, I don't find myself going on hour-long sessions using the keyboard. I primarily am doing emails, texts, and a little bit of note-taking, and for that, it is way faster than the on-screen virtual keyboard, in my experience. But if you were going for longer sessions, if you were, say, trying to write an entire blog on your iPhone using Clicks, this weight imbalance may, at some point, be a detriment. I think for the average consumer, it's going to be okay. But again, I have to say it because it is there and people are going to notice as soon as they put it on their phone. But all that being said, what do I think about the second generation Clicks keyboard for iPhone? Well, I think it's a huge step up from the original Clicks keyboard. And now I'm really happy to be able to use the second generation on my iPhone 16 without any of the compromises that I had to make from the original version. If you really need your phone to fit in your pocket, I still don't think the Clicks is for you, but if you want a physical keyboard on your device, the Clicks saves you from needing to pair an external keyboard, and it truly does save you space on your screen so you can do more at the same time, and it saves you time. The shortcuts really do enable a whole new world of possibility for your iPhone. If you are an iPadOS user, you are going to feel right at home with these shortcuts. The ability to jump around in iOS, you are going to be navigating so much quicker once you get used to them. You can cut and paste, you can quickly launch Spotlight, you can quickly scroll through pages using the spacebar, you can quickly type once you get the feel of the keys down. It's a huge improvement for me over the virtual keyboard experience, especially as a guy who came from the BlackBerry days. If you've never had a BlackBerry, it might feel a bit foreign to you, but if you are a hardware keyboard person from days past, you're going to love the Clicks keyboard. If you are interested in learning more about the Clicks keyboard for iPhone or Android, or you want to buy one for yourself to check it out, the link to do so and save a little bit of money while you do it is down at the top of the video description. It helps me out and helps me create more awesome videos on the channel here for you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the Clicks for iPhone. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have one? Let's have a conversation as always down in the comments below. Thank you as always for watching, and we'll see you guys again soon in the next video.